Hi everybody, how are you? It's Katty Lice again from Beautifully Rooted, and I'm so excited to be speaking with you today on something I hope will give you lots of hope. What I wanted to speak to you about today is wellness and who is responsible for your wellness. You know, the truth of the matter is that many of us were dealt different hands with the families we were given in birth and the people that were around us and who were helping to raise us or who had a hand in how we developed. Some people were given amazing hands, aces across the board, and a really winning hand, and what a blessing. That's such an amazing thing. That's the way it's supposed to be. Our families are supposed to be emotionally well and spiritually well, and they're supposed to be able to pass that on so that the children learn those things and they pass it on to their generations. And unfortunately, we are sinners and we kind of mess things up sometimes, or things get messed up for us. And we are in families who aren't really such great hands. There could be a wide spectrum of, they're kind of okay and to really bad. And so sometimes that happens. And what happens is that we are supposed to have our wellness directed by our family. They are in charge of how we relate to life, how we learn life. They are responsible for those things when we are little. As we grow, we look at them, we learn from them, and they're responsible to create trust, good trust. They're supposed to be able to help us to learn how to deal with emotions, how to relate to life, who to relate to, what relationships to choose. They're responsible for all those things, how to have happiness and joy, how to set boundaries so that we know when there's limits that should be set. They're responsible for those things. But because they have their own issues individually, and because they have maybe deficits that are going on, or they have some things that they are avoiding of or that they haven't worked through, they can't really pass that on to the younger generation or to their children. And so what you see is it's a lot of times in families, one generation not getting better, and passing that on to the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. And then you have multiple generations and just this complicated factors that impact our well-being and so many things that we have to kind of unravel. So simply put, it's really hard to teach what you don't know. So when you have families where they don't really know how to do well or how to relate well in life or how to cope, it's really hard for them to teach their children. So I do want this to be a hopeful message. That was just kind of how reality is, and that's for many people. I want this to be a hopeful message. And what I want you to know is that even though your family was responsible for you when you were little, you're now responsible for yourself. Almost no matter what they did or how much they impacted you or what they didn't do, let's say. So there's a real hope in that. There's a real freedom in knowing that now you are responsible for yourself. And one of the other things I want to give you hope in is to know that most of the symptoms we have, most of the ways we relate to life, most of the emotions that we have are learned. Most of those things are learned. They're not organic. They are not genetic. They are learned. And the hope I want to give you is that if it was learned, you can relearn. And so there's the blessing in you now being responsible for yourself. You have the ability to learn how to do life again. And what a freedom there is when you do that. It is possible. There are so many testimonies of how lives can change. And we'll talk about how those lives might change. Again, you're responsible for your own well-being, even if they were of a humongous negative impact to you, and even if you don't have the tools yet to get better or how to relate to life well or how to do relationships well, your responsibility lies in seeking help, seeking education, seeking support, and getting better. Okay? So in Christianity, we 100% believe that you can be renewed. So let's think about a couple of scriptures, okay? Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, and what is good and acceptable and perfect. And we believe that that is done through reading God's word and being in a relationship with him, that your thoughts can be renewed. You can be renewed. If we look at 2 Corinthians 5:17, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. What a blessing. You do not have to be defined by your past. You do not have to be defined by how somebody else defined you while you're growing up. You now have responsibility over your own wellness, and you can be renewed. The past does not have to define you. Please have hope and know that God can work with some of even the toughest of hearts, even the most stubborn. God tells us in Ezekiel 11:19, and I will give them one heart, and a new spirit I will put within them. I will remove the heart of stone from their flesh and give them a heart of flesh. So God can take your heart of stone and melt that. And sometimes that is what we need. The Lord is amazing, and He is able to do that work in you. Now, if we think about mental health, what is mental health belief? Well, so much of what we do is based on the idea that your thought patterns and your behaviors can change. If we work on changing those thought patterns, then that underlie symptoms and disorders, we can change the symptoms and disorders. You can get better. And so much of what we teach from is from the idea that what you have learned is learned. Therefore, it is relearnable, if that's even a word, relearnable, okay? So a lot of the counseling that we do, a lot of the techniques are based upon changing the underlying thoughts and behavior that contribute to the behaviors, and changing those behaviors as a result, leading to wellness, leading to mental wellness. And here at Beautifully Rooted, we believe that those two things come together. That in Christianity, yes, we believe that we can be renewed, and that Christianity and mental health are not mutually exclusive ideas, that they actually come together. And this is one of the ways that they come together. Now, again, the good part about this being learnable is that it is relearnable. You want to be reparented. So that's not to say that you're a child, but you just need to learn how to redo life. So how do you do that? Well, seek counseling. That might be one way. There are some amazing therapists that are willing and would love to help you to relearn how to relate to life, how to attain your goals, how to live for yourself versus how to live based on in response to the way somebody else had treated you. There's so many great therapists that are out there. I'm certainly willing to, if you fit into the life coaching format, I'm certainly willing to be able to help you with that. I'm more than happy to do that. There are many therapists that are in your area that you might find benefit from. You may want to find a mentor, somebody who does really well in these areas, and ask them for their guidance, ask them for their support. Something you really, really want to do as you're making this growth and making these changes is have a good support system, because when you make a change in a system that wasn't too good, they're not going to like it, the other people in your system. So it's going to ruffle their feathers a little bit, and symptoms are going to go up at first. So sometimes you need that extra support to make sure that you can pull through it and that you make the right choices. And then what you might see, and I really want you to be encouraged by this, is a popcorn effect that happens when one person in the family gets better. That person thinks, man, I got to do this all alone. I'm by myself. They'll never change. But what you'll find is a popcorn effect. When one person gets better in the family, when one person starts to go to counseling and they start to improve, you'll see another person pop up and seek counseling. Pop up and start making changes to get better. And then when that person starts doing that, you'll start seeing another person pop up and they start going to counseling. They start getting better. So you may see this popcorn effect. Now, there's no guarantee, of course, but this is one of the best chances for your family to get better, and we see it all the time in counseling, is this popcorn effect. So have hope and know that your change may be the catalyst for your family to get better. And if they don't, you pray for them, and you still relate to them on a way that is in a healthy way. You get help with that, but have heart to know that God can work in your heart, and be enthused by the fact that you now have this freedom to live a healthy and well life, even if your family is kind of struggling or hasn't made that choice yet. Lastly, there are a good portion of people who might be very resistant to letting go of the idea that your family is still responsible for you now, even as an adult. There are a lot of reasons why we might do that, and so I really want to encourage you. ask yourself, what do I gain by sticking with that idea? What benefit do I have by believing that they are responsible for me? What am I avoiding by not taking responsibility for myself? Ask yourself, why wouldn't I want to be responsible for myself and get better? Oftentimes you'll be surprised at what comes up, and you might find that sticking with the idea that your family was responsible for you now and that they have that power over you now might be the thing that holds you back in getting better. And so let's just fix that, and then let's get better, okay? Seek the right treatment. Now, classes, workshops, books, things like that can be so helpful and so supplemental to your counseling and can be so helpful to you getting better. So I really encourage you to do that. This week is to look at what might be helpful for me, what can help move me forward, how can I be responsible for myself? And lastly, have hope. If you get better, you choose wellness, you choose to be responsible for yourself, the buck will stop here. The generations after you will not go through those same things. You will be able to teach them because you will know how to be well and how to live life well. And you'll be able to pass that on. So you'll see your family generations, instead of it keep on passing down the unhealthiness, there will be a catalyst and there will be a change. You can be that change, and now you just see this healthiness of just thriving generation after generation be that change. All right, you take care and have a wonderful week. God bless you.